Roswell flight test crew, here today with our good friend and supporter, drone attorney Wendy Kellington. Wendy, what have you got on the docket for us here today?
Well, Patrick, a few days ago, the FAA slapped a notice of violation on Skype, an aerial photography company, in the amount of $1.9 million.
Wow, $1.9 million. That's a lot of money. So what are the facts in this case?
In 2013, the FAA obtained a variety of subpoenas from the Illinois Federal District Court addressed to Skype and many of its customers to determine what kinds of activities Skype had been engaging in its drone activities. So Skype is a company that does a lot of aerial imagery using drones, beautiful stuff on their website, and apparently FAA took notice. So the letter makes clear that each of the violations is worth up to $11 million per violation, and that the bargain basement price of settling the matter is $1.9 million.
Wow.
After completing an investigation lasting more than 2 years, the FAA wrote this notice of violation. The FAA was upset that 43 flights occurred in Class B airspace in New York City without any of the traditional whistles and bells that aircraft would be required to have within Class B airspace, like transponders, that sort of thing. No NOTAMs were filed. In addition, for 65 violations, alleged violations, there was no COA, no N numbers, the usual sorts of things that would get the FAA excited.
Wow, wow. Now, the FAA seems like they're being very aggressive in this case. Why is that?
Well, they are being very aggressive. This is the largest fine that the FAA has ever assessed that I'm aware of. And I think the reason is that they're trying to assert their authority to protect the national airspace system from these little drones. And I think they're particularly worried about a little drone getting sucked into a 737 or a 747 on short final at one of the big airports. After all, these were uncomfortably close, these flights were uncomfortably close to JFK and LaGuardia. And I think after the Perker case, the Trappies case, where there's been a lot of controversy about FAA's authority, I think FAA wanted to make clear in a well-documented case that they're serious about protecting the national airspace system, and they're willing to do so.
You mentioned the Raphael Trapper Perker case, which was eventually resolved in the FAA's favor, but I don't think it went quite as smoothly as they would have liked. There was a lot of back and forth. And do you think they're on firmer legal footing this time?
Well, Patrick, yes and no. Remember, Trappy's case occurred before the FAA Modernization and Reform Act of 2012 was passed. All of the alleged events in Trappy's case were from 2011. And for sure, during that period of time, it was really unclear what the rules were for model aircraft. Really all there was 9157 that we all know so well. And so the FAA was, I think, surprised when it got the initial hearings officer determination that said that the model aircraft are different, they're not really aircraft, and the FAA doesn't have authority to regulate them. And we're pleased when the NTSB overruled that hearings officer, but then they settled the case and they never actually got a determination out of a judge that established their scope of authority. So now they're on a very well-documented case arising after the period of time when the FEMRA, the Federal Act, was established that makes clear that regardless, in the context of model aircraft, the FAA retains its authority to protect the national airspace system. So it's probably a little firmer. There are still some legal questions, but definitely a lot clearer case than what happened with Trappy.
If Skype called you up and asked you to defend them, what would your advice to them be?
I think my advice would be that in that 30-day window that's provided in this notice of violation before the time the FAA files an actual complaint, then I would advise them to make an effort to sit down with the FAA and try to appeal to their sense of fairness to come to a far more favorable and fair resolution. I mean, in fairness to Skype, even during the alleged period of time where the events occurred from 2013 to 2015, I think we can all agree it was very unclear what was allowed and what wasn't allowed with respect to small aircraft less than 55 pounds. And during that period of time, the Trappy case had initially been lost by the FAA. I believe that was in March of 2014, and it wasn't reversed until November or December of 2014. And the legal pundits were calling loudly on the FAA to reverse its position on Trappy and understand that it didn't really have authority over model aircraft. And so I think I would see if I couldn't get the FAA to come to a fair resolution, recognizing the legal uncertainty. There's a legal principle out there that says that you can't be penalized for conduct that is not clearly illegal. And I think during 2013 and 2014, the activities alleged here were not clearly illegal.
Now, Skypan has a 333 exemption, so doesn't that bode in their favor? Weren't they trying to do the right thing?
It should bode in their favor, and they were trying to do the right thing, but it doesn't help them with these particular violations. So the sequence of events is that the alleged violations occurred in 2013 and 2014, and they received their 333 exemption after the FAA advised people they could do that at the end of 2014. And so none of the alleged activities are covered by the 333 that Skypan obtained. But it should still help them, because as soon as FAA made some sort of clarity about what the rules were for flying these things, hey, go get a 333 and then you can fly commercially, they did it. They were acting in good faith. And I think that's part of them being able to sit down with the FAA and say, hey, is this really the fair thing to do to us? We don't really think it is. We're trying to do the right thing, and your rules aren't clear.
All right. Okay. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for taking your time to talk with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And for all of you out there, thanks for watching, and fly safe.